LeBron, Curry, and Durant out of the playoffs. We're just moving into the second round. Since 2005, one of those guys, sometimes all three, one of those three had made the second round of the playoffs. They're all gone. So who's the next face of the league? Who's the next face? Jokic, Tatum, Giannis, Luka, SGA, Wemby, Ant Edwards, all vying, some vying. Jokic doesn't want to be the face of the league. Who's the face of the league? Who's going to carry the torch? Now, they're all talented, but there is no Patrick Mahomes to replace Brady, Manning, and Breeze. It's not there. He was marketable. He was the best player. He's the best quarterback. He plays the most important position. NBA diehards will tell you it's going to be Ant Edwards. It's going to be this guy. It's going to be that guy. The truth is, they thought Iverson, Stevie Francis, and Marbury would replace Jordan, and half the league ratings disappeared. I don't think any of these guys, maybe Wemby, although I'm not sure he...
Allen Iverson was absolutely massive for the NBA. I don't know on what planet Colin is talking about. Iverson, massive. Not only massive in the U.S., but also helped bring basketball to China in the way that became massive. So Iverson had one of the longest running shoe deals ever. I think he was only second to Jordan until LeBron eventually passed him. So I don't know what that random dig is, and to put Stephon Marbury in the same category as Iverson is just insane. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. Zero.
He wants it. Will be the face of the league. And this, like international soccer, is a face of the league sport. You don't need it in the NFL, although they've always had it, but it's a big part of this league. Now they're going to Amazon reportedly, so a lot of people aren't going to watch them when you go to streaming. Your numbers can go down. They generally do, significantly. So a lot of people forget this. They always think, it doesn't matter what market you're in. Yes, it does. LeBron is the only small market face of the league ever. Think I'm lying? Go back to the 70s. It was like Jerry West, the logo.
No
Los Angeles.
No, what happened in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s are irrelevant because we didn't have Google, let alone YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and TikTok and everything else under the sun. So whatever happened in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s is so irrelevant to what's happening right now. It's just there's no point in even comparing, especially when we're talking about public perception of things. I don't even like comparing style of play and different eras statistics, but now if we're talking about like popularity, it's a completely different world. There was no such thing as Netflix in the 70s. You couldn't watch 10 episodes. Go watch a Back to the Future episode. Okay, Back to the Future movie where, Marty McFly says, "Oh, this is a rerun," and they look at him and they say, "What the heck is a rerun? Reruns didn't even exist, So comparing it so far back is just comically, hilariously absurd.
And then right after that, I felt like Dr. J, big market Philadelphia. And then Magic, LA, Bird, Boston, Steph, Shaq, Kobe. All big market. LeBron's the only one in Cleveland. Michael Jordan, Chicago. And when Michael Jordan was the face of the league, the look, the game, the style, the earrings, the smile. And at that time, Chicago had the number one NFL team, the Bears. Oprah was the biggest star in daytime TV. And Siskel and Ebert were driving people to theaters when people used to go to theaters. Chicago has never been bigger than then. The Bears, Oprah, Jordan, Siskel, and Ebert, it was flying. And then there's LeBron from Cleveland, who, for the record, was a headline in high school. The chosen one, the king. We don't have anybody like that now. So I don't know who the face of the league is, but market size matters. Now, could it be Jalen Brunson? He's not dynamic enough. His game is excellent. I love him, but that doesn't feel like Magic played different. Bird, Kareem, Dr. J, most of the faces of the league. I mean, Tim Duncan was the best player for about 5 years. The big fundamental was never close to the face of the league. You got to have some pow, some vertical, some Shazam. And I do think Ant Edwards has a lot of that, but Minnesota is a football market more than a basketball market. But this stuff matters. I don't know who the face of the league is. I love what I've watched in the playoffs. People always bang on the NBA. I thought last night was one of the best games I've seen in a year. I thought the couple of nights earlier, Dallas Clippers second half was one of the great nights I've seen in basketball in this country, anywhere globally. That's great basketball. Knicks, Sixers has been unbelievable. I love the league. I love the games, the fans, the arenas are sold out, the stars. It's international. But face of the league, I guess I'd go Ant Edwards and Wemby, vie for it, but I don't feel it yet.
Okay, so this is what I want to talk about, because there's a few things. He said a lot, and there's a lot to unpack. One, I agree that you need someone who's truly, like, jump off the screen exciting and has a very unique skill set that we haven't really, saw. Or you have to be winning at an unbelievable clip, right? Steph with the shooting, obviously also with the winning. LeBron James being just the LeBron James and being his own freak of nature physically. We've never saw a basketball player, his size and speed and skill set, ever. Larry Bird was very unique in his own right, shooting the threes. A big, tall, white dude, in Boston, massive market. Kobe Bryant, killer instinct. And just the, again, brought his own bravado and persona, Mamba mentality, and then also playing in LA, of course, and winning at a very high rate. I know there seems to be a little confusion as to what means the face of the league. Shaquille O'Neal, obviously an absolute physical freak of nature, and also a very outgoing personality. And so it's a combination of, unique physical traits, winning, and then I think being part of a big city, of course, can help enhance that. But to be clear, this whole idea that you need to have a face of the league, I think, is the NBA's fault. The NFL doesn't need Patrick Mahomes. Let me say it again. The NFL does not need Patrick Mahomes. Everybody is still watching those games. Everybody is still running to watch, the Eagles in the Super Bowl with the backup quarterback and Nick Foles. The crowd and the fans were still going just as crazy with Russell Wilson as their failing quarterback in Denver, and same thing with the backup quarterback with, for Joe Burrow in the Cincinnati Bengals. So you don't need Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is amazing, and I'm very grateful that we live in a time when he gets to play. I'm very grateful. I love Patrick Mahomes, so again, do not take this as me trying to pull Patrick Mahomes down. But the league does not need Patrick Mahomes. They just don't. Patrick Mahomes doesn't play, there will be another quarterback. And everybody will be worshiping, that the worship that goes to Patrick Mahomes would just be distributed to Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, some of these, CJ Stroud. Everybody would be really jumping on CJ Stroud even more, right? So people will find that it's kind of like, honestly, it's like YouTube. If you're not watching this video, you're watching another video. And if you're not watching that video, you're watching another video and another video. And if you're not on YouTube, then you're on another social media site. Your attention has to go somewhere. And what football does is great is that it doesn't matter, right? That's the whole thing. It's all about the jersey, the name, in the front, not the back, right? That's kind of the cliche. Basketball has made it so star-driven that without the stars, no one cares. But this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because the media dictates what's interesting. The media dictates what people care and want to talk about. And I was just talking to my friend about this last night. And I said, I'm watching all these games, basketball. I'm loving it. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. I said, I'm watching every single game. I said, but the one series that I haven't watched a single minute of is the Orlando Magic versus Cavaliers. And he laughed and he said, yeah, I know, me too. He goes, I don't think anyone's watching that. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, and I watch all these shows, First Take, First Things First, The Herd, all this. No one's talking about that series. No one. And it's because it doesn't have these guys that you see on the screen right now. And I understand that. But that is the NBA and the media's self-fulfilling prophecy in that regard. Because the NFL, you could watch, I'm not dying to watch this Monday night lineup, and so occasionally I'd skip it But if I don't have a lot going on, like a regular season game of, a failing New Orleans Saints versus failing, Carolina Panthers, if it's on Sunday night or Monday night, it's like, yeah, I'll watch this. If I don't have a lot other going on. Again, maybe that game I'm not going out of my way as if it is a Patrick Mahomes versus, whoever, the Eagles or, the Bills, whatever. But I would still watch that game, or I'd have it on the background. It's like, this is a playoff series, and I'm not watching the Magic versus the Cavaliers because it's like, And why would I? And I said, how much would it suck to be that fan base? Your team's fighting. You're like, yeah, we're Orlando. We're making moves. Let's go. And Cleveland's like, all right, look at us go. We don't need LeBron. We're doing it. And we win. Yes, we win. Look at that. That was a tough, hard-fought game. Oh, God, I can't wait. We're making moves. And then you turn on the TV the next day, and all your favorite sports shows, not one of them is talking about them. Not one. And if they do, it's like a 2-minute thing. They're talking about LeBron James and Steph Curry. And it's like, they're not even playing anymore. Why are we talking about Steph Curry? So that's the media's doing. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like if you're in a relationship and you keep telling your girlfriend or your boyfriend how much you hate them and then they break up with you, you're just like, I don't know why they broke up with me. Well, maybe because every single day you saw them, you said, I hate you. So that's why when then ratings go down, you tell us that these other games are not important, that they're not worth watching, that the only games worth watching have these big mega stars. And football does not have that. Watching some of these backup quarterbacks was really, last season, like the backup quarterback situation was wild. It felt like every team had to play a backup quarterback at least once. And it was wildly exciting. It was like, again, I obviously rather have the true blue blood quarterbacks, but it was still exciting. It was still fun. And so this is basketball zone doing. And the problem is that you do need big personalities. Now, Arnold Schwarzenegger owes his entire career because of his personality. So bodybuilding historically was actually very much in the shadows. It was this more underground community. It was these guys who were working out and doing stuff, and it wasn't a big show me. It wasn't like what you see on Instagram and social media now where everyone's trying to be rich and famous. In fact, most of them, when they do work out, they wear like sweatshirts and put their hoods up. Like it's very much like, no cameras, no nothing. It's a very like, me thing. Like I'm doing this for myself, not for everyone else around me. And so they were making a documentary called Pumping Iron, which is actually what really ultimately launched and made Arnold Schwarzenegger larger than life. And there was this documentary crew and they wanted to make this movie. And they came to him and they were trying to find, bodybuilders. And now granted, at this time, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the most successful one and was still in his prime, so to speak. But he was the only bodybuilder that had a personality. He was the only one that wanted to be in front of the camera, that wanted to make jokes and wanted to tell stories and wanted to be in this movie, be a role, be a person, be a persona. He was the only one. And that's what made him famous. The documentary crew was like, oh my God, thank God. Someone who wants to talk, someone who we can ask questions to, someone who's going to tell us interesting stories, anecdotes, someone who's going to give us great footage. And then the rest is history. And that's what we have with some of these other players. You have Jokic, he doesn't want it, right? Which is fine. And then you have, and SGA seems to be all about business. Like, these guys are in some commercials, don't get me wrong. But it seems like we have two types of people these days in sports. People that just want to be rich and famous and want the Instagram followers and the YouTube and this and that, the OBJs. They want to be in France with the supermodels and eating pizza, laying in bed. And I'm not judging. I don't blame you, man. If you have that chance to live that life, by all means, go get it. And then you have the other people that in a response to that are like, I don't want the fame. I don't want commercial. I don't want anything. I'm just all about winning. And then that's then alienates the fan bases and it hurts your popularity. Because it also, part of it feels disingenuous. Like, I think it was Mac Jones, his first touchdown pass, he was just like, I don't need the football. Because he was trying to act like, hey, it's just another day. And it's like, no. It's okay to be happy that was your first, and I think it was Mac Jones, correct me if I'm wrong. It's okay to be happy that you threw your first touchdown pass in your entire career of the NFL. You've been working to this your whole life. It's okay to enjoy that moment. You can still be all about the business and want to be successful, but you can still enjoy this moment. It's okay. So that's why it has to be a balance. And you have to win. You have to win, or you have to be so spectacularly charismatic and amazing on the court, which is why Iverson was so insanely popular, because his game spoke to so many people, whether from the people from the actual literal streets, people that were smaller, people from the working class, because they saw, working class, especially Philly is a very working class city. So that, had a lot of synergy there. He brought hip hop into the game, so a lot of people connected with him. And the fact that he was such an underdog and was able to compete with the literal giants. And that's why someone like a Jason Tatum, he was good looking, also charismatic to a degree, but his game isn't off the charts amazing, and he's not winning. If Jason Tatum went to the last 3 NBA finals and won 2 of them or something, or just one of them at least maybe, and got a finals MVP and a regular season MVP, I think like he would be the face. But he hasn't been able to stick that landing. SGA, unbelievable. He's just ascending now. He would have to also win the MVP, go to multiple finals like in a row, maybe repeat. Like you need that momentum. Without it, it's very easy to falter. And you have to truly be likable, unless you're just winning. And then it's this weird balance between like, are you a villain or are you the face of the league? Are people watching you to root against you, or do they want you to succeed? And that's where Luka comes in, because Luka is not likable from that point. 1, he's not winning enough. And 2, nobody wants to face the league. No one likes, outside of Dallas Mavericks fans, nobody wants someone who's going to be crying to the refs, barking at the fans, getting in fights every 5 seconds. It's just, that doesn't speak. In order to be the face of the league, you have to capture the diehards, the casuals, and the random moms of the world. That's why Patrick Mahomes is so popular. That's why Tom Brady was so popular. I always use my mom as the perfect example in the barometer of this. She knows exactly who Patrick Mahomes is, who Tom Brady is, who Kobe Bryant is, who, LeBron James, Steph Curry. They appear on her shows. They, she watches and in the games, and even though she doesn't even know anything about them, she goes, I like him. He looks nice. He's this, he's that. That's not the energy that Luka does. That's not the energy that Jokic does, for different reasons. So that's the energy that you have to get out. And I think the best chance of the new face of the league was actually going to be Ja Morant, because his game was exciting. And he was a smaller guy, but the way he did jump off the page, jump off the screen. But he fumbled that by 2 ways. 1, not winning, because again, you either have to be so over the top amazing, or you have to legitimately be winning at a constant rate, be competitive in the playoffs year after year after year, preferably, obviously, of course, winning. And you can't have trouble off the court like that. At least not now. Maybe back in the old days you could. Not in 2024, right? Not in this time when everyone is always looking to just cancel people. And Ja Morant had his issues off the court multiple times, suspensions. Not a good look, right? Allen Iverson in the modern NBA would not be able to be as popular as he once was. I think that's very safe to say. I think even maybe to a degree Shaquille O'Neal, by like making albums and being in movies. It's just like the moment he didn't win, people would unleash on him. And I think, and to a degree, he got a little bit of that. It was partly why, the Lakers, he left and Kobe stayed, because Kobe was more serious about winning. And Shaq definitely flirted more with the Hollywood lifestyle. But I think that would be harder to obtain, again, in 2024, going onward to 2025 and beyond. Wembenyama, I think, is very interesting, because you have to be good looking. That's just the reality of the situation. You have to be good looking. Or good looking enough. If you don't jump off the screen to like the nth degree or winning nonstop. Like, again, everything is a balance, right? Everything is like a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And I think you can have different variations of something, right? If, let's say we had a basketball player who was just like insanely attractive, that like all the girls were just absolutely, swollen over, and he was good enough to be an all-star, Hall of Famer, but he wasn't winning, I think he would probably still be the face of the league, because he would just be so good looking and all the girls would love him, and plenty of guys as well too. And also, even when you're younger, when you're real young, 8, 9, 10, even if you're a guy and you're 100% straight, like you will still like the better looking players. Your favorite players will be the guy who looks more attractive. People like attractive people. That's just the way it works. That's just, again, psychology 101. So I think everything is kind of like, just like how if you had someone who was on the opposite end of the spectrum who was absolutely amazing, but just really not attractive and difficult to look at, sorry, not trying to judge anyone on their physical appearance, but it's just the reality. I think that person would have a tough time being the face of the league because he's not good looking enough. And he's not, it's like you want the good looking people in the commercials and with the smile and be charming and charismatic and have the girls, want to be with you and the guys want to be you, like that. Though that's where it all plays in. But I think this ends up being a silly conversation in a lot of ways because this shouldn't be the question that we're asking. The question that we should be asking is, how can the NBA grow and move beyond needing a face of the league? That's what you need to get to. You can't just rely, because you know what? They kept saying we need LeBron, we need Steph, we need KD. The most exciting games in the NBA right now have not had those players, except for the last game with LeBron. The most exciting game I watched was OKC versus the Pelicans, game 1. That was wildly exciting. Wildly exciting. Didn't have Steph. So yeah, I think it's interesting, and I don't have faith though that the NBA will do what needs to be done, quite honestly, because I think they've been mismanaging the league for a long time, which is why ratings suffer more than anything. You have big epic primetime games on at 10:30. The most dominant fan base is all on the East Coast, not the West Coast. I learned that when I moved out west, that everything is catered to the East Coast, and then yet you have these games on at 10:30, which a lot of people can't watch. They got to go to sleep. They have school. They have work. They have a life. They have kids. They have other things. It's just not possible. So the NBA has always struggled with trying to figure this out. Football is, 3 days a week, and it's on at these very specific set times that everyone can kind of watch, and they dictate their schedule around those games. People don't really do that for the NBA. So, but those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. Who do you think will be the next face of the league? And do you think we need a face of the league? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.